So Al, the next topic we really want to talk about is really cloud gaming, aka
Yep.
game streaming. So we know now that Stadia and Google seem to be changing tact
Mm.
with their
Mm.
offering. Okay, they've closed down their first-party development capability
Yep.
for
Yep.
Stadia. Jade Raymond, who had worked on the Assassin's Creed
Mm.
franchise and was leading the first-party development for Stadia, has already moved on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she set up a new studio called Haven, and they're now doing a Sony PlayStation game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that to me that was
Yep.
quick. So this sounds like it had been on the cards
Mm.
for a
Mm.
while. Yeah, been on the
You mean
cards for a while.
the way that Stadia was just reducing down what it was focusing on?
Well, they're changing
Mm. Mm.
direction. I don't know if it's necessarily a
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
reduction, but they're certainly
Yeah.
changing direction.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if Google are
Mm.
doing this, what in actual fact is the future for
Yeah, I
streaming?
didn't. I don't know if you noticed, but there was not necessarily a more popular gaming service or a cloud gaming service, but Shadow, which hosts basically virtual gaming machines. Um, I think went bankrupt. I think if I remember correctly,
Oh,
recently. Yeah.
really?
So if you look them up, Shadow, I think is they're a US service, so I've never tried it. Actually, there might be something in Europe that they did, but I think they've kind of finished up recently. But I think my kind of experience,
Interesting.
GeForce Now was very good. I did enjoy using GeForce Now when I was on the beta for it.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I actually think there are what I would call four big players.
Mm.
I'm sure there's certainly more companies
Yep.
involved trying to build a business out of this. Those offerings are pretty much Microsoft and Xbox's
Yep.
xCloud, PS Now,
Yep.
Stadia, and GeForce
Mm-hmm.
Now. And now, actually, before the podcast, I actually tried
Uh huh.
Stadia, GeForce Now, and PS
Mm-hmm.
Now. And the only reason I didn't even attempt kind of xCloud is I think that was on a beta
Uh huh.
basis, and that beta's closed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I will say is this, yeah, out of the three that I tried,
Yep.
I would actually say PS Now felt like the best of the lot.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
not to say that it didn't have its problems, because it did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But were you streaming that onto your PlayStation 5?
yes, I was.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so,
Yeah.
so I think this is where the comparisons get interesting because with GeForce Now,
Mm.
I was using it on laptops, I was using it on my phone, I was using it in all sorts of different environments, which was quite interesting.
Yeah. Now, my PlayStation is actually wired in terms of
Mm.
the
Mm-hmm.
network.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's definitely an
Yep.
advantage. When I tried Stadia and GeForce Now,
Yep.
it was on my fairly high-end
Yep.
PC, but on Wi-Fi.
And that will be quite. This is probably my main point when I get onto it as well on cloud streaming services is the reliability of your connection.
Yeah. This is the part I'm going to talk about next that's going to blow your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because whilst PS Now felt the best,
Mm.
I felt that all three of them were fairly reliable.
Mm.
I did. I mean, certainly on the Wi-Fi connection, both Stadia and GeForce dropped the resolution and the fidelity, which you can accept, yeah. But in no way did I feel that the games were
Mm.
unplayable. And this is gonna make you laugh, right? But the way I tested Stadia and GeForce, because obviously with GeForce Now and Stadia, I had the free offering.
Mm-hmm.
I spun up Destiny. Yeah, I did. I spun up Destiny,
Mm-hmm.
and to me it made sense, right? Because where I think cloud gaming and streaming will fall down on its face is with the
Yep.
latency and with the twitchiness of certain
Yep.
games. So that was my primary reason for doing
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Yeah. But however, when I did that, I didn't notice any
It,
latency.
in I think if you get the right environment, right, and the right setup, and the right connections to the right server, then actually latency becomes extremely low. Even although you're
Yeah.
jumping through an extra cloud service that's in there. And it's all about the reliability of your broadband connection, really,
Yeah,
and how big,
absolutely,
and and how much bandwidth you've got in there. So as long as you've got something that's good enough,
absolutely.
then actually it will work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if it's because I mean, some people are a bit more sensitive to latency, and maybe my reactions are so slow now, it won't matter. You know what I
I,
mean? Like
well, I think with
I can't go
I
quick.
think with PVE, if you treat PVE games, then you're probably okay. If you treat like, I
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
using GeForce Now a lot for things like I actually played like Monster Hunter on it, which was quite nice, and then stuff like Civ 6. Civ 6 was really enjoyable playing, using GeForce Now. So you could play it from anywhere.
I can imagine games like that being perfect
Mm,
for streaming,
mm.
and that's the thing. I mean, there's certain games that are just much better for that type of
Yeah,
technology.
and if it's not latency sensitive, then even
Yeah,
better, right?
absolutely.
And you could run it from anywhere. Um, the other advantages I thought you could get from using GeForce Now was there's no noise, no fans spinning up from your through your PC or
Yeah,
laptop
it's just video, isn't it?
to handle the suddenly
Yeah,
the
yeah.
upshift in the graphics usage and things like that. So you don't get the noise, you don't get the heat from it.
True,
Although
true.
some people want the heat whilst in winter, there is some advantages also by using that. It's basically the problem goes somewhere else into a server room somewhere, I guess.
One thing I will say though, I mean, the promise of getting into game
Mm,
immediately, to me, that's not even a real
mm.
promise, and certainly not with the freer
Yep,
offerings.
yep, yep, yep,
You know,
yep. Not Stadia style anyway. Not the way that they demoed it. I think. Yeah.
I think Stadia was less of a
Mm.
problem than PS Now
Oh yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
GeForce
yeah, yeah.
Now. Yeah, because before you could get in game, what PS Now and GeForce Now were doing was looking for a free server to run the
Yep.
game, right? So for PS Now, that felt at least initially 30
Mm-hmm.
seconds, to
Yep.
do that. GeForce Now, not as
Mm.
bad, but still there was a
It,
lag. And I know with the paid for
yeah.
offering,
You'll get reserved. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that significantly reduces that. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Generally speaking, the experience was good, and I was actually
Mm.
super, super, super surprised.
Yeah. And I think the reason. So I think it's probably about a year or two out, and I think COVID has knocked it for six because everyone's at home. No one's traveling. I used another example would have been that when I was in London and kind of using when I was with my desktop, I wouldn't use GeForce Now as much. But when I'm kind of away from London or somewhere else, then actually using GeForce Now across that with the local server tied to it is amazing, and I can still have my original account and original game kind of playing off of it. So, but I think once travel starts to go again, and once things like that and the advantage of having a cloud service that you can access from anywhere, then and if you assuming you have a reliable 5G connection or something or local Wi-Fi, then you're good to go.
So, Al, going back to PS Now,
Mm.
actually, I'm basically gonna let you know how I tested PS Now.
Mm-hmm.
I tested a shed load of games on it, really well. Shed load meaning more
Yeah.
than two, right? So basically, I tested it with Primal,
Mm.
which is an old school PS2
Yeah.
game. I tested it with the original Killzone
Mm-hmm.
visuals on
Mm-hmm.
PS2. I tested it with Killzone Shadowfall, the launch title for PS4.
Mm-hmm.
I tested it with Black Ops 3.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few other titles as well.
Mm-hmm.
Horizon, because obviously I'd been playing that game.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, every one of them
Mm.
functioned extremely well. I thought functioned extremely
Mm.
well.
Mm.
Yeah, extremely well. And you know what? I was when I got into this, I was half expecting to really pan these services because the controls would have been
Mm.
awful and there would have been so much latency.
Yeah.
But you know what? I didn't get any of that.
Okay, so I've not done much research, if at all, on PlayStation Now. But have they done something tricky, like actually pre-cached a game or something onto the PlayStation 5 rather than actually streaming?
No,
Hmm.
it's just streaming.
Interesting.
I mean, if you recall, they bought that company Gaikai, which was some. I think it was it Dave Perry? I can't even remember
Hmm.
now, right? But it was it was a technology for game
Yeah.
streaming, so they kind of bought into that. But I mean, as far as I know, I'll say this, right? I originally thought the delay in getting into game was somehow they were caching,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
But the more I kind of used it, I realized it wasn't
Hmm.
caching. It was just them trying to find a spare server
Yeah.
to run the
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
on.
I mean, that's how the GeForce Now works. It finds you a
Yeah,
server. Yeah.
exactly the same thing. And your whole point on caching, I kind of think that at some point that might be a viable model for people to
Hmm.
follow.
Hmm.
Because let's be honest, like not everybody has the same reliability or level of internet
Yeah.
connection all over the world. It's just not
Yeah.
possible
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that that could be something that people look into, no doubt about that. But yeah, I was surprised. I mean, all three services obviously had a drop in
Hmm.
fidelity and
Hmm.
resolution,
Hmm.
all that kind of stuff. But to be honest, I kind of expected
Yeah.
that, and I wasn't that bothered
Hmm.
about that.
Hmm.
What was surprising was the latency wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. It was absolutely playable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe for somebody who basically plays competitive and they would
Yeah.
notice. But for me, Joe blogs, game now and again, perfectly
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfectly
You
fine.
just find the non-latency sensitive one games and go for those ones, right? So again, the ones I played a lot, I think was definitely Monster Hunter World, from actually almost all over
Yeah,
the place. At my brother's place, at my aunt's place or something. Yeah, if I was staying over for a night, then I'd still be able to hook into their Wi-Fi,
yeah,
and off I go back to
absolutely,
where I was.
absolutely. But dude, I basically played a lot of FPSs on these
Mm.
services to
Yeah,
test them.
yeah, yeah.
Even with those guys, I didn't experience a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
Again, reasonably impressed. Would these guys replace what I do normally? No. But I can imagine them as a
Mm.
nice complement to what you have. I think you mentioned this
Yeah,
last time as well,
yeah,
Hal. Won't replace what I have, but it could be a nice
yeah,
complement. You can imagine these services being used for maybe
yeah,
demos.
yeah.
Try before you buy. Yeah?
I honestly think its real advantage is when you're traveling.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
obviously with the with COVID situation, we don't know how that's going to pan out just yet. But
Or even if you have a platform
mm,
like a
mm,
Mac, which is not necessarily geared up
mm.
to play AAA games, if
Yep,
you know what I
yep,
mean.
yep, 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 yep.
And could you imagine a situation where something like a GeForce Now becomes available on even PlayStation?
Well, that
You know?
is, I think that is the thing. If you had GeForce Now and all these other streaming services as part of the smart TV setup, and you have it as an app there, why would you need a console? Why would you need things that are hosting these things? So, um,
Yeah, correct,
or as
correct.
I was doing, it was also running GeForce Now from my phone, and hook a Bluetooth controller, and off I go.
At the end of the day, these services should be able to run on anything,
Yep,
anytime.
yep.
Yeah, even Game Pass. To me, it wouldn't even surprise me that at some point Game Pass would run on a PlayStation. Microsoft would love that.
Yeah, but that's also why I wanted my Steam library on an Xbox. That would have been awesome.
It's all of these things to be considered. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, I was pleasantly surprised, and it made me feel there is some hope for
Yeah,
streaming.
I just think it was the wrong. How should I say? The COVID has pushed it back because everyone's at home, right? And everyone's got their own broadband. They've got their own wireless. Why the hell would they stream onto a cloud service when they've got their own kit at home? But if you're traveling out and about, I think that is where you'll get the most advantage from it.
Yeah, I think there's an absolute use
Mm.
case for it. It's like you said, the whole traveling where you can't kind of get access to your normal hardware. It's the fact that you want to take your games
Yep.
collection, yeah, and play it on anything.
Mm, mm,
To the degree, that's where I think PlayStation needs to kind of develop a
mm,
little bit in this area, because if they broaden their streaming service to include many, many
mm.
more games, right? Why is it unreasonable for me to expect games that I've bought from the PlayStation Store or
Yeah.
physically to be
Mm.
accessible from PS
Yeah.
Now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why isn't that a
Yeah,
thing?
that doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense, right? It's in your account. It's in your library. Why is that not hooked
Yeah.
in together? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the other stupid thing is, PS Now allows you to down, as well as streaming, any game that is basically streamable on PS Now, you can literally download and play
Yeah.
locally
Yeah. Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like getting it down from the PlayStation Store.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a bit of a no-brainer. Well, I think anyway, but I mean, I'm sure there's all sorts of things that I've not thought of, but I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, obviously, there's that. There's the fact that if there's exclusives on another platform, maybe the game services are the way forward. Like we'll open it out. We'll never develop the basic native app on the
Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
but we will allow game streaming services to exist. So if our if our gamers want to basically indulge in all of that,
Yep.
go for it.
Yep.
Yeah, why not? But yeah, out. You know what? Pleasantly surprised it was that good, because I
Mm.
didn't really expect it to be any good. Not at
I
all.
mean, yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, my experience has always been positive. So, for me, it's a good thing. But yeah, glad to hear you've got a good experience from it as well.
I mean, haven't tried xCloud
Mm.
yet, but I'm sure that's going to be comparable. But with what I tried, yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised. I think there is a future for it. It might not be what's being sold to us
Mm.
right now, but there is definitely a future for this. And
Yep. Yep. Yep.
like we've said, it really is like running a data
Mm.
center. That's
Yep.
all it is, I think. But running data centers are quite expensive.
Yes.
So it's like what do you get on your return investment? That's the question now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if my want is for these services to become more of a complement to the existing traditional services, with the amount of time, money, and investment it takes to basically run these types
Yeah.
of services, is it
Mm.
worth it?
Mm.
That is
Well, it needs
really
to
the
be viable,
question.
right? Otherwise, they'll just stop doing it. That's the point. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, so I think it's better than I thought it was. But I'm a cheap date. One thing that I will say before we kind of leave the subject is that I really didn't like the way I had to set up Stadia, because you had to go through your phone and all
Mhm.
that. I did not like that, but I can understand why they would have done that, because again, it's something you're going to be able to play on your mobile
Mhm.
device. But yeah, it's certainly all three services did a job. Let's put it that way. They're not going to replace the way I like to play games, but they certainly
Mhm.
did a
Mhm.
job.
Cool.